Hey guys, how you doing? It's Joe Cott for AET 164. I want to show you a quick walkthrough on the first steps for creating the Eames house, which was an architectural project from the 1960s where they were trying to use off-the-shelf materials to create a building. So let's go ahead and start screen sharing here. Okay. So first thing is we want to get Revit open. So we're going to save this file, save as project. I just like to save stuff to my desktop, but you can save it to your zip drive or whatever works for you. Call this Eames house and press save. Once you've done that, the next thing we want to do is set up a background file. Background file, like we go to level 1, we see here, the size of the viewport, and then we want to come up with a new background to throw in. So there's a lot of images we could pick from, something we could just throw in, but what would be really nice is if we could find an image that had a scale. This one has a scale to it. It also shows the whole floor plan, and it'll allow us to import this. So let's see what kind of resolution we get if we save this image. I'm going to save it to my desktop again as Eames house floor plan, and it's going to be a JPEG image because that's the file format. But you could pick any image you find on the internet that works for this project. Just use Google to search for it. So now I've downloaded that image. I want to come back to Revit, and I want to do Insert Image. And now we're looking at the desktop. Here's that file I just selected, and we'll go ahead and put that in. So now I have a background for all the work I'm doing here, and looks like I didn't get enough resolution to really see how big everything is. So let's go back to my image and see if we can get a little bit better resolution there. Technology, am I right? So we're trying to get better resolution. We can't seem to get it yet, but the main idea here is that you want your layout to be to some scale so you know how big it is. It looks to me like this is 2 feet in the drawing. So we could set it up that way. I'm just going to go ahead and start drawing walls in here. So if this is 2 feet in the drawing, we want to go to Annotate, Detail Line, and we'll draw a 2-foot line. Luckily, we're pretty close to the scale of this drawing, it looks like. Just make that a little smaller. That's just how we scale using the scale. And we could be obviously much more precise, but for right now, let's just get started and start drawing walls. So the Eames house is primarily made out of curtain wall. There is a wrap in the back and front that's solid mass wall, but the rest is curtain wall. So you go to Architecture, Wall Type, and then you want to scroll down to curtain wall. I'm going to actually choose storefront. The difference between storefront and curtain wall is storefront is supported at its base, curtain wall is supported from the side. So I'm going to click storefront, and then I'm just going to draw along the outside of the building. Actually, this is a courtyard here. Here is the outside of the building. I had it right the first time. Sorry, guys. You can see my wall got drawn in. Let's do another one from here to here. All right, let's go all the way across the front and then the back. And then the back wall is more of a solid masonry, and we'll just pick generic 12, and we can change that later. So now, if we go to the View tab and click the 3D view, now you can see what we've created here is the 3 sides. Not sure why our 4th side isn't showing. Let's go back to level 1 and see why that wall never made it in. Wall, generic 12, and draw that. Okay, there it is. So now that back wall is in there, and you have the whole footprint. One thing that I think is interesting to do at this first stage of the project is we can put a floor in there, and you just want to draw the boundary of the floor inside. We'll go from the outside of the building. Now that floor is in the project as well. Okay, so going back to our original idea of looking at images, if we were to go to Eames house site plan and now look at images for that, now we can see sort of what the lay of the land looks like around the building. Yeah, you can see here's a contour drawing showing that. And we could start with that. I think that's a good idea. Eames house plans with the contour. We're going to save this image to our desktop. It already looks like it's got a good file name. We'll keep that. Come back into Revit. We'll go to Insert, Level 1. You have to be in the floor plan view. We're going to go to Image, choose the file we just created, and now we're going to overlay this into the drawing. So part of that is making things big enough so that they fit over top of each other. And right now we can't see everything in the drawing because the floor is blocking it. So if we change it to wireframe, now we can see exactly what's underneath. We want to rotate it so that it fits the building a little bit better. And so let's say we want to rotate it so that it's right on the line of the site. You can move this to the corner. All right, and now click on that image of the site context, click rotate, and drag this blue center marker to the corner of the building that it's aligned to. Rotate, drag the blue marker, and now follow the line of the underlay drawing and align it with the building footprint. So now it looks like our buildings align. We can start to scale it up. Looks like it needs to be a lot bigger. And what you need to do is do some of your own site research on the Eames house, get a couple images of what the site looks like, get a couple floor plans and site plans so that you know exactly what you're doing, what you're trying to create. And with that, okay, now that we've placed this site, we could insert a component, we could insert trees. I'm gonna put a big tree over here. You know, we could draw sight lines. The way we do that is we go to manage, or it looks like my version of Revit LT does not have massing. But at least our floor plan looks like it has the important information on. If you were to create a site plan, for instance, it would show up the way you want it to. Let's make this a little bit bigger. It looks like it's not quite right yet. A little bit bigger. Almost there, but let's just put it in place. All right, sorry, sorry, this is taking a minute. So now you've got this site plan, you have the 3D view where your building footprint has been created, your floor is in there. If we look at our site plan again, we have our site and our context. We can hide that, and then we can see our floor plan information under that as well. Again, it's hidden right now because it's not in wireframe, but now you can start drawing the walls on the inside. And then one last thing that we can do is if we were to create a new sheet, you could take this level 1 plan and literally drag this onto a sheet, and now you have a decent looking drawing that's already started. You have a template, you have a background. If we were to unhide the site plan that we just hid, now you have like a really good compelling drawing, and we can make, even refine this a little bit more by centering it and then turning on the crop boundary. Crop boundary is a little bit too big right now. We'll just make it the size of the sheet. So you can select any JPEG that works for you, or that you find on Google. Whatever you find is good. And once you've done that, now you've kind of created the beginning of a floor plan, and we can start to draw in the next phase later on during the class. All right, so that is the first tutorial for the Eames house. Get working on those few things. And there's no submission date for it yet, but I'll send an announcement out for that. Everyone did a great job on the test. Everyone's doing an awesome job on the assignments. Just keep going with that stuff as well. And have a great week.